Hey, Marty in Warehouse and Operations as a Career here, and welcome to the fourth quarter of 2020. I'm thinking we'd all be perfectly fine with this year coming to an end, right? I think if we learn nothing else, we've learned a lot about equipment, careers, what is an essential position, and what industries may be a little more stable or secure than others this year. Now, all industries are needed, of course. I'm not saying a forklift driver is any more important than a restaurant back-of-the-house worker. I myself nearly starved the couple of weeks that restaurants weren't serving earlier this year. I consider them much more essential than myself. But I am thankful and glad that I was in an industry, though, that needed to be open, even with the added risk. Products and goods had to keep moving. I think we learned the supply chain is a massive beast and the nation relies on it heavily. So this last quarter we learned a lot about our industries, manufacturing, production, and distribution, and we talked about safety and we learned about how dangerous the simple things can be. Even how golf carts in the warehouse can become life-threatening if no training program is being used. And it's been really exciting to hear from so many people that have entered the fields and are learning about the opportunities the different warehouse and transportation positions have to offer us. I think I've mentioned the classes we've been putting together the last couple of weeks, and we'll have about 9 more weeks of them to give, right up to the holidays. All the participation has been great, and the questions? We've had some great questions from all the groups. This week's class, we mentioned the different types of forklifts and what material handling is. And in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about slotting, how to slot a warehouse and order selecting. Both of those topics have came up here at WAOC over the last month or so I thought I'd look back in our archives and see what we've talked about here before. I found some good stuff in the show notes, mixed those thoughts in with the new questions sent in recently, and well, let's talk about those today. How to get started and learn the new task. Now, as you know, I'm pretty passionate about both of these positions. They typically pay well and can offer us a good, solid career, really long-term employment in many instances if that's what we're seeking. In the distribution world, an order selector will probably be operating an electric pallet jack or a forklift, maybe even a tugger or some type of powered industrial equipment. We haven't spoken a lot about the tugger, and it's referred to by many different names, but is really just a piece of equipment that you can stand on, usually within a driver compartment that buggies or carts can be connected to. And we'll pull them through the warehouse aisles, selecting our orders of product, placing them on the carts or pallets on the buggies. As we've mentioned several times, I'm going to talk about powered industrial equipment training again. Here in the States, the regulation is 29 CFR 1910.178, which put simply means that if we operate any type of powered equipment, we must be trained in the safe operation of that equipment. And please go check out OSHA.gov for the complete reading. It's honestly more interesting than you'd think. Anyway, and I know I talk about it often, but please don't get on or operate any equipment or even any type of machinery. Don't even attempt to move it or run it if you have not been trained to do so. Just stay away from it. It could be dangerous, and it's actually the law. We talked a bit about what employers or recruiters are looking for in an order selector or a forklift driver, too. I believe, let me look up some episodes real quick. Episode 12, titled Order Selection, and we went a little deeper, I think, with episode 33 called A Few Thoughts on Order Selecting with James, where we spoke with James, and he's really kind of a top gun and a really accomplished order selector. Check those 2 shows out. I think you'll find them really interesting. Oh, and we did a program with a warehouse trainer. That was episode 19, titled Warehouse Training Techniques and Advice from a Professional, where Tony does a great job sharing his thoughts on training with us. I'm straying off subject again, but those are good episodes to check out since we're talking about order selecting. We've spoken several times that our warehouse education is like going to school or college. Well, kind of anyway. And we have been paid while investing the time to attend. The courses in warehousing aren't that long. They're not measured in semesters or years of completion. We can easily determine how long each course takes by paying attention to our instructor or our trainer, following the directions given to us, being on time for our shifts. And I mean every scheduled shift, and letting our management team know that we want another position with more responsibility and better pay. I honestly know individuals, and I mean many individuals, that has gone from a lower paying general labor position to order selecting or a forklift position in less than a year. And a year is not a big investment of our time. I know it's hard to accept a position for a couple of dollars less than what we want, but if the company we're looking at offers that opportunity to us and they have the equipment and skilled positions we're after, I feel it should be a done deal. Let's take that GL position, get our foot in the door, and learn all the jobs that's between us and that order selecting position or forklift position. And it's important the whole time we're doing that we let our managers know what we want and where we're heading. I think that's the only way and the shortcut to getting the experience in that order selecting and forklift positions that we're wanting. So I believe I've mentioned responsibility and better pay twice now. Both of these positions, forklift operator and order selecting, pays more because it carries with it more responsibility. We will be working hard. It's hard work. It's typically a productivity position. You'll have loaders or drivers waiting, standing by to load those orders. And believe me, a front dock can get backed up in a hurry when orders or batches aren't coming out of the aisles in a timely manner and in the proper order. In a large distribution facility, it has to happen like clockwork, or every task happening after us is going to be affected. And it's our sole responsibility to make sure the customer or account receives the right item and the correct quantity. Selection systems or computer-driven scanners or audio units may be giving us the slot number or location to select from, but it is still our duty to verify the correct item is in the slot and we know what we're pulling. I've yet to hear of a system where our supervisor or manager doesn't explain during our training to read the screen or label and check the product information on the box. Think about it, a receiver could have tagged the wrong item, or a fork driver may have placed it in the wrong location. It's still our responsibility to see that the customer gets what he or she has ordered. And it's a tough job. We need to go into it realizing it's productivity based. We're going to get frustrated sometimes, especially if we're selecting with 30 other selectors, all waiting for a slot or location to be replenished without product. Time is our enemy in the production environments. As an order selector, our travel time or drive time is not counting in our cases per hour number or our percentage level, so we have to think ahead, plan our routes through the warehouse so we drive the absolute least that we can. If we don't have a pull or a box to grab in an aisle, don't drive down it. Those kinds of things we'll learn with experience. I just mentioned forklift driver. It's another position we'll probably be told we're looking for people with experience. More often than not, I see people moving to the forklift from another piece of equipment. Maybe in smaller environments, we could be trained to operate forklifts, early on in our employment. But if we're in the larger production or distribution environments where productivity is stressed, it will actually help us to come from another task and position. Think about it a second. If we know every item by sight and know how the receiving or inbound department works and the shipping or outbound side of things happen, we'll be much more proficient at our task. And the two basic positions involving forklift jobs are called put away, meaning we're in the receiving side of things, and replenishment or the shipping of goods. If our job is put-away driver, we may be responsible for hauling pallets of product off the dock once it has been received and placing it in the pick location, where the selectors will be looking for it, or placing it in a reserve location where it will be stored until it's needed for selection. And then this brings us to the replenishment driver task. It will be our responsibility to replenish or replace the pick slot once the product has been removed or the pallet has been emptied by the selectors. Retrieving another pallet of product from the reserve system and replenishing the slot or location. Again, we'll find it's our responsibility to confirm that we've retrieved the correct items when pulling them from the reserves, and again before as we place it into the pick location for the selectors. Imagine for a moment the wrong pallet is placed in the pick slot and we have 100 cases on it. 30 selectors stop there and select one case for their order and does not catch that it's the wrong product. Potentially 100 customers could receive something they cannot use and did not order. That's not a good thing. Something like that is called a misship or mispull, and it can count against us, even cost us money in the productivity world. Another not-so-great error is called a short or not on truck. That's where we as fork drivers or order selectors did not pull the item or the correct quantity, or it could have fallen off our pallets as we turned a corner, or maybe we just placed it in the wrong zone or part of the pallet and it was buried within the load and overlooked by the driver. And let's not forget the heaviest responsibility we'll be carrying with either of these jobs is that of safety. We're operating powered equipment to perform our task. We're driving it in close proximity to people and other operators. And as we would have been trained in its operation, it is our duty to operate it safely. As you can tell, both order selecting and positions of forklift driver are great and rewarding jobs, and both can be strong careers or excellent stepping stones to other positions. If you have any specific questions or thoughts, please just shoot us an email to host@warehouseingoperationsasAcareer.com and we'll contact you and get them answered. I'll put you in contact with someone that knows the position like the back of their hand and help you in any way that they can. And don't let the stress or frustration or the lack of experience hold you back from either one of these positions. They're both worth the investment or the time to learn. You can get that needed experience. You just have to get your foot in the door and communicate with your management. Let them know what your goal is and what you want to do. Well, if you're enjoying our programs, finding any value in our discussions, please remember to check out our Facebook and Twitter feeds. We can be found at both just using that little @ WHSEANDOPS. We share job board information quite a bit on Twitter and pose the occasional question with our Facebook page. You know, a quick like or follow would greatly be appreciated. Until next week, please practice safety at work and home both. It's so important to our family members and our co-workers as well as ourselves.